Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Is this on? I'm Congresswoman Napolitano from the 32nd District in California, and today we're addressing a very serious problem of mental health that is unfortunately part of a growing problem in the United States amongst our young people and some other folks that we need to understand more about. But we have to hear today Mike Thompson, Chair of the Gun Violence Prevention / Mental Health, and also Bobby Scott, who has his own bill on it is the Youth Promise Act for children, to be able to get them on the right track. And of course our star, who has been my champion on outing mental health destigmatization, Metta World Peace, Ron Artest from the Los Angeles World Champion Lakers, who has been very, very outspoken on the issue of the need to be able to provide services to young people. Has spoken at schools, has been just a marvelous, marvelous person for us to be able to bring that out to the forefront. And right now I'd like to bring forward, and I do have a bill, 628 Mental Health in Schools Act. Senator Franken's bill on the Senate is Senate Bill 195. But I'd like to introduce Mike Thompson, Chair of the Gun Violence / Mental Health Task Force that Vice President Biden and Nancy Pelosi, our minority leader, have put together. Mike?
Well, thank you, Grace. Thanks for all that you're doing. Grace was a very important part and a vice chair of the task force, as was Bobby Scott, both longtime leaders in the area of mental health and early intervention. And that's a huge component. As we all know, the issue of gun violence isn't just going to go away. We all have a lot of work to make sure that we can prevent it and reduce it. Part of that, it's a very comprehensive issue as well, and it's going to take a comprehensive solution. And mental health and our better working towards addressing the issues surrounding mental health is certainly part of that. Our task force had a number of hearings. We have developed some principles that deal with mental health, and early intervention is certainly one of those. And I was fortunate to be able to be in a meeting with our star, with Ron Artest, just a moment ago, where he explained from the heart, how early intervention helped him. And it's a compelling example of the work that's in front of us and the work that we're going to have to complete if we are in fact going to bring about solutions to not only gun violence but a number of the things that are challenges in our community today. So Grace, thanks for putting it together. Metta World Peace, thank you for being here.
Bobby?
Thank you. Thank you, Grace, for putting this together, and thank you for your leadership on mental health. The tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut has caused a different reaction to gun violence than we've seen in the past. I think we've come to the conclusion that we do not want to tolerate this kind of violence anymore, and we will do something about it. The task force has a list of recommendations. Obviously, the gun safety, the assault weapons ban, the magazine size, the straw purchases, background checks will be part of it. But a significant portion will also be dealing with prevention and early intervention, and mental health will be a major component in that. If you look at all of the mass shootings, you see clearly recognizable mental health challenges that are not being treated. Metta World Peace will be talking about what it did for him and how he went off in a different trajectory because he had those services available. We need to make sure that we deal with the school shootings. As Dewey Cornell tells us, he's a forensic psychologist at the University of Virginia. If your school shooting prevention program begins when the shooter is at the door, it's too late. There's a lot we can do to prevent the shooter from showing up at the door. Mental health is one. Prevention and early intervention services under the Youth Promise Act would be another. But we know we can afford these services because of what we are spending when we don't provide those services. So thank you, Grace, for your work. Thank you, Mike, for your tremendous leadership on the task force. And Metta World Peace, thank you for your leadership in bringing attention to these problems. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Metta World Peace.
Thank you. Yes.
Definitely an honor to be here, and I guess I hold it like this, okay? Well, I definitely, just to be brief here, just to be both, okay, cool. Just to be brief.
You'd be a politician before we're done with it.
When I was a kid, I experienced a lot of different, things in my environment. A lot of violence and depression, frustration, and it could have escalated. When I was 13 years old, my mom, she said, "Son, you're going down the wrong path. Either you're gonna, get yourself really hurt or go to jail." She said, "You need to go see a counselor." So when I was 13, I decided, to see a counselor, and it helped me out a lot. So when I got to high school and college, I continued to see a counselor, a psychologist. And as y'all know, when I won the championship in 2010, I raffled off my championship ring, and I thanked my psychiatrist. I didn't even know that she was my psychologist. She was actually my psychologist instead of my psychiatrist. But I thought, just sending out a message to let people know it's okay, if you need help, if you have to address issues, and as long as it's improving yourself, you shouldn't feel ashamed, if you want to improve yourself. And when I did that, I didn't realize I would get so much attention, and I didn't do it for the attention. I didn't raffle my ring off, which I kind of wish I had it, but we raised a lot of money, and I was able to help not just programs in my own neighborhood, programs in Arkansas. We worked with prisons in Arkansas. We worked with institutions in Cleveland. I forget where else. I think Chicago, New York, Indiana, LA. But the money I raised with my ring only could do so much. And so I'm trying to, just be a part and be a champion, for the Congresswoman and for everybody else that's trying to, bring to light the importance of early intervention. So hopefully y'all recognize, the effort that we're trying to make, and thanks for having me.
Good job.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. As you can see, he is a very sincere and very unapologetic person that sought help because he knew he needed it. And that's the message we're trying to get, is maybe get more individuals who have name ID to say, look, I'm coming out. I have sought help. I need help. I am getting help, and I am getting better. Because we need to destigmatize the issue, not only to prevent future tragedies, but also to help the community, the public, and the billions of dollars that business loses because of this illness. And it is an illness. We need to elevate it and ensure that all of us work together. That's part of what our bill does. It's what a part of Bobby Scott's bill does. And we hope that you'll be able to help us get the word out to have America understand we have an epidemic of mental health, how would I say, need in our schools and in our universities and in our offices. And we need to start dealing with it. We need to elevate it and fund the ability to be able to put services where they are available to those that need, especially in the inner cities. But I think we educated parents, everybody else. We'd love to have you come in and get some suicide training prevention that Ani, who's my lead on mental health, has provided. It's important. We need for you to be able to help us get this message across. Thank you so very much. And can't say enough for Mike Thompson and the task force that is working on the issue of gun prevention, gun violence prevention, and Bobby with his bill. But more than anything, to my good friend and my champion, Ron Artest, Matter World Peace. Thank you very much. God bless. Any questions? Anybody?
¿Cuál es la relación entre la salud mental en las escuelas y universidades con la violencia de las armas?
Me pregunta que cuál es el nexus de la violencia en escuelas, el coraje que muchos niños tienen por causas que no son de ellos. Es que eso escala, sube y empieza, we call it festering, es empezar desde muy chiquitos si no les dan ayuda. Entonces ese coraje coraje entra en violencia, no solo en casa, en la escuela, pero afuera, así como crecen. El campeón de básquetbol indicado que desde muy joven empezó él a ver un analista, alguien que le ayudó a comprender cuál era ese coraje, ese problema que tenía, y ha crecido viendo a otros psicólogos, analistas que le han ayudado a él en su vida personal, cuando hay problemas en su matrimonio, problemas de mucho coraje, cómo él puede sobresalir de esos problemas, y decirle al público en general, especialmente los latinos, que no lo ignoren, que nuestros niños necesitan ayuda de profesionistas, y necesitamos el dinero para poder poner programas locales para ayudar a la familia a entender cómo ayudar al niño, cómo educar a los maestros y maestras, cuáles son los síntomas que pueden ellos ver que los niños están creciendo en un paso violento si no encuentran ayuda, ya sea local, en la escuela o profesionista. Es un problema en Estados Unidos que sigue incrementando y necesitamos que nos ayuden a quitarle el estigma a este problema.
Pretty good for an Italian.
Issues on violence more broadly is one that has obviously attracted a lot of attention here in Washington, a lot of focus here. Is this something that you find your teammates, your fellow players are discussing quite a bit? And would you see other players maybe becoming advocates like you are for different issues related to gun violence?
Yeah, I think so. I think, violence and gun violence and things like that is it's not just in my neighborhood. As you can see, it happens all over. And it's definitely a topic of discussion among athletes, because we grew up, a lot of athletes grew up in violent neighborhoods. And obviously we're not proud of it. It's not something that, you could be excited about when you're talking about, one of your friends that passed away from gun violence and things like that. So it's something that we wish that, we could change. Yes.
Game, was suspended for many months, and it became one of the things that sort of marked your career.
Yes.
Again, last year, an elbow, got suspended for a game. I'm just wondering if some of these violent incidents that you've been a part of present a conflict for you when you're addressing ways to reduce violence.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when you see me on the basketball court and I play with so much emotion and sometimes aggression, it depends. Early in my career, I was still affected by, depression and sometimes anger management. So early in my career, I was at a point where I had to address these issues, and I started to see a psychologist. So when I did have the brawl in Detroit, when I got hit, and if you go through it, I was practicing some of the methods that my psychologist was teaching me, and then after a while, I was in transition in Detroit. So if you probably go back and look at it, you'll see that I was like actually practicing some of the things that she taught me, but I wasn't able to sustain it, for a long period of time. And as far as on the court incidences, that's a little different from what happened in Detroit, because on the court, it's all about it's a game of passion. So I wouldn't compare on the court stuff to, directly to mental health issues, because a lot of people are suffering from way bigger issues than on the court passion, getting tussled or tangled up on the court. It's a lot of more bigger issues than that. That's just a basketball game.
May I add something to that? Here's a guy who's an all-star. He doesn't have to do anything but play basketball and get his check. Not only is he recognized that he has some issues, not any different than anybody else that any one of us know, but he's got the guts to step forward, share his issues with everybody, and to try and make a difference to help society and to help other people. And I just think that's pretty doggone admirable.
Any other questions?
Congressman, I know that you've introduced this bill a number of times in the last few years. Do you have any
Well, we keep trying. Normally, because it has to have a $200 million pay, we have to look for the funding. The senator is hoping to be able to find some funding, Senator Franken, and we hope to be able to convince some of my colleagues on the other side that this is a critical issue. It's not going to go away, and it's escalating. And then unless we start working to be able to provide youngsters some assistance, that along with Bobby Scott's bill for criminal justice, addressing criminal justice, somehow we need to start the ball rolling. Whether we are going to pass it or not, we're hopeful that we will, and that we trust that the American public will put pressure on members of Congress to say it's time. Find the money, get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.